Have you ever wondered why the steak at your favorite steakhouse can taste so much better and much more tender than the steak we cook at home? Or why they just cost so much more? The secret is dry age. Okay guys, today we are going to dry age this 3 pieces of meat. This is ribeyes. We're gonna dry age them with butter. Butter has to be in room temperature, so you're gonna put it out of the refrigerator for about a couple hours. We're gonna dry age them with plastic bags or dry age bags, and also with these cheesecloths. So let's start it with the butter. Dry aging is the process that not only helps the steak develop flavor, but also makes it far more tender than it would be completely fresh. A dry aged piece of beef can lose up to around 30% of its initial volumes in water loss, which concentrates its flavor. And set them aside. Look at it, it's all covered with butter. Second one, we're going to use cheesecloth. Tenderization occurs when enzymes naturally present in the meat act to break down some of the tough muscle fibers and connective tissues. Flavor change is caused by enzymatics and bacterial actions. It will develop deeply the beefy, nutty, and almost cheese-like aromas. There are 2 ways of dry aging beef. Most beef age in a plastic wrap, a process known as wet aging. On the other hand, open dry aged beef is exposed to air, so dehydrations can further concentrate the meat's flavor. It is a more expensive process than wet aging because the meat loses weight from dehydrations, and it also must be removed from completely dry exterior. So after the long wait, here we have the butter dry aged for 60 days. Next to it is the fresh prime ribs from the supermarket. Then we have the white cheesecloth dry aged for about 5 days. Next to it is the umai dry aged bag for about 3 weeks. And finally, the last one is the one dry aged in open air for about 14 days. Dry aged beef is expensive because it has been carefully maintained in a temperature controlled environment for a period of time. And because the meat loses moisture and weight, the price per pound increases. A great deal of this moisture loss occurred in the outer layers of the meat, some of which get so desiccated that they must be removed before cooking. The steak we commonly eat is fresh cut from the supermarket. It's red and full of moisture, which make it very nice and juicy. A dry aged steak is, as you surely guess, aged before eating. You can find steak that have been aged from 7 days up to 120 days. The most common time frame for steak to be dry aged is about 21 to 28 days. The meat does not spoil during this time because you age it in the conditions that tightly control the level of moisture and bacteria. This is the most commonly requested aged steak. The steak had developed the flavor and textures qualities associated with the aged meat, which is very tender, with a flavor that best described as a mixture of buttery popcorn and a rare roast beef. I'm gonna marinate the remaining ribeyes with Montreal steak seasonings, or you can use just salt and peppers. Then pan-searing them, using a thermometer to ensure that the inside of the meat reaches 125 degrees or 50 Celsius. The meat, then take it aside to rest for 7 to 10 minutes. During it rest, the temperature will keep rising for about 5 more degrees and then settling down. The medium rare steak has a temperature of 135 to 140 degrees. So right now it's 117 degrees. This is the setting degree, and this is the temperature of the steak. So now it's about almost 120 degrees, so I'm going to take these 2 steaks out. Let's just remind that this is a open air dry age. It's 2 weeks. The dry age in the dry age bags about 3 weeks. This is the cheesecloth dry age. It's about 4 to 5 days. This is the fresh ribeyes, the regular from the supermarket, and this is the butter dry age, about 60 days. All right, let's try this steak. I noticed one major difference in the meat cooking qualities. The fresh ribeyes show reduced browning properties. It must be the moisture causing the certain area of the meat to shrink faster than others. All other dry aged meat seems normal and produce a beautiful golden brown color. After tasting all of these meat, I came to conclusions that the fresh ribeyes taste beefy, robust, fatty, and juicy. The butter dry aged ribeyes taste very tender. The muscle fibers just fell apart. It was by far the most tender steak I ever cooked at home. I didn't really need a knife. Butter dry age, it's expensive and time consuming. However, the end result is out of this world. It's buttery fat, ready packed in distinctive blue cheese flavor. The cheesecloth ribeyes is similar to the fresh ribeyes, except it does not as juicy as the fresh cut. The umai dry aged ribeyes produce a much better flavor, which is the same as the open air dry age, which they produce a tastier, juicier, and tender of meats. So much richer in flavor, beefier and more tender, more buttery textures and minerally, slightly nutty scent, which I really like. I think they are the best way for dry age any steak.